Most people think that their biggest problem is getting users to their platform or to their mobile apps, but it's not. The biggest problem is not users, and I'm going to tell you why. The problem is that most MVPs do not deserve users yet, and that is the brutal truth that most people do not want to admit. In this video, I want to explain why your MVP probably doesn't deserve users yet, and when you'll be able to tell when it's ready. I've seen this pattern over and over so many times, and people build platforms, apps, and they rush to launch on social media across all their social media platforms, thinking users are going to jump on board. And they get into a panic mode when users do not onboard or they do not get the users that they anticipated. And the blame is it's marketing. Yes, marketing is hard. Yeah, of course, marketing is definitely hard. But what if the problem is much simpler than marketing? So, before your MVP deserves users, you need to pass these three tests. And these three tests, I have categorized them as number one, it has to be clear. So clarity. Number two, safety. Number three, momentum, right? So the first word or the first stage, which is clarity, means that your product has to clearly state what it does so the user can understand what your product does under 10 seconds or less. So if they find it very difficult to interpret what they are to achieve on your platform, obviously it doesn't paint a good image, or it doesn't give them a clarity as to what pain point is your product solving for me. So that needs to be clearly stated, that needs to be clearly achieved. And then when users get on your platform, they clearly know what they are using your MVP for. So that is very important. Number two is safety, right? Safety is very important, considering all the regulatory, discussions going on across the world, in Europe, Africa, anywhere. It is very important that customers are rest assured that their data is secured on your platform. Even if it's an email address, it's secured on your platform, regardless of the fact that your product is an MVP or it's in its MVP stage. So please, that is very important. Number three is momentum. So the momentum is where they're able to experience quick wins. So they get on your product and like, oh wow, I just saved X amount of time, X amount of money. I just received or I just enjoyed this emotional benefit, or I just gained this emotional benefit. So that is the momentum aspect, where in its MVP state, customers are still able to appreciate the value or the pain points that your product promises to solve. So these are the three clear stages that you need to pass to ascertain or to be sure that your product is ready for users. So the challenge here is that AI and no code even make the situation worse now, because now anyone, everywhere, can actually code and ship products. So what that means is that we can all ship products, but the question is, do we include the thinking? The thinking is the business logic or the logic behind your shipping or your feature or your code or your platform. So if you call a feature to be, the question you need to ask is that, do customers really need this feature? Or I'm building out of the fact that AI suggested that adding this feature to my build will make it good. But do customers really need it? In traditional development, before you build, you need to conduct a user research. You need to talk to your data scientists. You need to talk to your data team for them to check and see where there are complaints. They need to check the funnels. They need to analyze. They need to know, okay, probably customers are dropping off at this point because probably there's a friction somewhere, or customers are dropping off because there are errors, or maybe there are failed state or empty state, or the API services do not call, the service is very right. So all these are very clear examples of how the traditional building works. Now, bring it to AI. AI, you can actually build a feature within seconds, but you need to add the thinking aspect to it. But these days that doesn't happen. So people ship without adding edge cases, without adding the user intent. Why are we building this? And then also failure states. There's nothing like that. So we end up shipping features and expecting users to onboard without thinking about the logic. Do they really need it? That's the question you need to ask. So speed without judgment is not progress. That is what you need to bear in mind. Speed without judgment is not progress. So the fact that you can ship fast doesn't mean that you should neglect the judgment components. Now the big question is that when should you get users, or when should I get users? You are ready to get users when, number one, you can actually explain your product in one sentence, clearly explaining, this is my product, this is what it does, and this is the end result, or this is the derived benefit. Once you have that confidence, or you have that clarity to explain your product in a simple sentence, it means your product is ready to onboard users. Number two, your onboarding works flawlessly without explanation. Your onboarding works seamlessly without explanation. So the moment you have to explain that users will have to upload this, do this, and do that, it means your product is not ready for users. What that means is that if this product scales beyond your immediate users, those that you are close to, like your friends and family members, how would you explain to the external customers who are far from you how your product works? So it's very important. I know some products do have onboarding guide, but in some situations, it needs to be so simple for users to onboard. It's like Facebook having a user guide how to onboard and sign up to use Facebook. It needs to be so simple, right? Onboarding needs to be so simple. So in as much as there is a way to implement onboarding guide for complex systems, but you need to try as much as possible to make your onboarding experience very seamless, very flawless, so that users, regardless of their technical background, should still be able to onboard on their own. Number three, you know what success looks like for a customer or for a user. So if you're not able to explain how a customer feels when they complete using a feature, or when a feature, or what a feature gain is for your customer, it means that your product is not ready, because you need to know, and that is the only way you can explain to the customer, or you be sure that your product actually solves their pain point. So you need to know, this is how success will look like a customer, because if they start feature A and they end feature B, they would have saved X amount of time, or they would have saved this amount of money, or they would have derived this rate against the previous rate. So these are things that you need to clearly explain and know, because you are solving their pain points, and so you need to know how it feels like when their pain point is being solved. Number three, which is very controversial. Number three is that you are comfortable watching people struggle. It's very controversial in the sense that no one wants to watch people struggle, but I coined it this way to give you a concept. Now, the main challenge about vibe coding is that people vibe code without actually understanding how a feature works or how their system works. In that case, you are unable to explain if an error occurs, or if there is a bug, or you receive a customer complaint. So you are comfortable watching people struggle because if they call on you, or if they send you a message, you know where to touch, you know how to fix it, because you understand the flow. So if a customer sends a message that I'm unable to onboard because I uploaded this document and this is the message I received, you know exactly how the onboarding flow or how the authentication was built. So you need to really have a firm grasp on your system to understand the implementation, the configurations, and how the whole system is built. If you always run into a panic mode when your system is live, it means you're not ready, because systems will definitely have people sending messages Facebook, Apple, and all these products, if they launch a feature, they definitely have a customer support waiting, because it's for sure that customers would have various experiences. But the point is that the team is always ready to answer you, and they know how to fix those bugs, or they know how to fix those errors that do come up. So you need to be very comfortable in seeing or watching people struggle on your product, simply because you know where to touch, you know where to fix. If you are building right now, my one advice to you is don't rush attention. Don't rush attention. Build it and earn it. This is the only true way for you to understand your customers and for you to know what you're actually building, because it's very important for you to know what you are building and know who you are building for. And this is the only way you can get your product into the right users and then make an impact.